to the flag of the United States
of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Human? Martine?
Here?
Lewis? Yes. Morgan? Yes. O'Toole?
Yes.
Entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second the motion.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Martine?
Yes.
Lewis? Yes. Morgan? Yes. O'Toole?
Yes.
Make a motion to excuse public comment.
Second.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Martine?
Yes.
Lewis? Yes. Morgan? Yes. O'Toole?
Yes.
Do we need to excuse Crystal?
Because it's your name, right?
It's Hubert. It's not always necessary. Not Kuhlman. That's his spice.
So we'll move on to reports.
Those are
Mayor's
his words,
report.
not mine.
Okay, Mayor's report. Like to re-announce that we have established a date for our community conversations as being scheduled for the fifth Tuesday of September, which is September 29th. This is a great opportunity for the residents to come and do a roundtable, kind of a layout with all our department heads, and actually get direct answers, direct contact with the directors, and get direct answers for your questions. So we're looking forward to having a good turnout on the September 29th, and that is at 7 o'clock. It goes from 7 to 8:30, and again, hoping for a good turnout. We got the timing is also such that we're going to be able to get it into our city edition, which the deadline I think was yesterday, but I think we still got a few days that we can squeak anything in there to pull together the city edition. City edition is planned to be out early September.
Yes.
Just a question, would it be possible for you to create any kind of flyer and produce it a week or two before? I would be happy to go door to door, passing it out and encouraging people to come.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the flyer will be, somewhat, we'll probably have it on the front page of the news thing, but we can have a similar flyer that kind of constructs the basics of what we're doing. Very good idea.
Thank you. Thank you, and thanks for your help. Thank you.
That
Also,
can-
back to
yeah, that
school
concludes.
program
Oh, go
tomorrow,
ahead.
Thursday.
Back to school, we've got, I think, 6 tables or 5 or 6 tables from the city. We got the fire and the police, and we got CERT. We got Greenwood Farm, Key Club, Kiwanis, and we got recreation. So there'll be a good turnout, hopefully, for that. I believe that starts at 6:30. I think it's 6:30 over at the school. The city is putting up the tents and getting ready for that. We also had, I guess, since you had another question, we did have a very successful Singing Angels event last Sunday at 2 o'clock. We had 200 people there. 75 of them were singing angels, but we had a pretty good turnout. We did have ice cream, and the snack truck was there from the same person that was there from the previous event. Everybody enjoyed themselves and turned out very well.
Great.
So that concludes my report, I guess, unless there's any other questions.
Well, you
Go
have
ahead.
one
and
more
have-
thing that's going to be
Yeah.
happening in
Okay.
the city, which is out of economic development, that you might want to announce.
In our economic development, we're going for progressing. Pardon?
The real estate thing, that's what I was thinking about, but go on.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of things going in economic development. We're progressing with our removal of the gasoline station and the process there. Hopefully, the old Amoco station will be coming down in September. We're going to soon have a sign up there from the EPA indicating progress on the project. So that's one. We're pulling together also a team to move some of the properties that we have in the city, under the city, are placing on Carl, Hilltop, a vacant lot on Weathersfield are the first three items on their list.
We have a real estate fair at the.
Oh, and we're going to have a real estate fair at the mall, and that is
August 26th.
August 26th. I have that here.
6 o'clock?
It's an expo. It's Wednesday, August 26th at 5 o'clock to 7:30 at the Richmond Town Square. And this will be tips and tools to succeed in Richmond Heights real estate market. And there'll be a meet and greet. There'll be some speakers, economic development, some from the city services, school district update, and such. So that'll be announced and out there. It's trying to bring together businesses and real estate people, and get the word out that there's a lot of good things happening in Richmond Heights. They also did they concluded a strategic plan at the school. So there's a new day in Richmond Heights, I think, is the theme. And you'll see some of the school board people out in the communities answering questions and things. So they've put together a 3 to 5 year strategic plan, which is put together with the inputs of a fairly large steering committee of community leaders, and we're looking forward to starting to implement that.
Great.
Stay tuned for more details.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Fire Chief Newman.
Thank you, Council President Henry, Mayor Roche, members of council, members of the community. Mr. Luco, Senator. Our fire department's been very busy. Our total calls for service as of July 31st that are 1,083. Our EMS calls account for 856 of the 1,083, which is no change compared to last year. Our 3 area nursing homes account for 21%, or 230 of the total call volume. Our fire service calls are at 227. That includes 14 structure fires. Actually, fire service calls are down 21% over the same time last year, so we're up in the area of EMS. Fire service calls are about 21% of our total call volume. Our simultaneous calls, those are calls that happen at the same time, occur 14% of the time. We've received mutual aid from our neighboring communities 21 times, and we've given mutual aid 55 times this year. In the category of EMS billing, billing for EMS transport is at $373,000 this year. That's an increase of 11%, or $36,000 over the same reporting period in 2014. However, revenues for EMS transports are at $190,000. That's a decrease of 1.8% over the same reporting period in 2014. Our collection rate is at 51%. Some factors involved are the affordable health care. Our supplemental staffing expenses, that's overtime and part-time. Our year-to-date overtime is at $54,585. That's a decrease of 24%, or a decrease of $17,000 compared to the same reporting period in 2014. Overtime includes shift coverage and off-duty training related to our regional agreements like the technical rescue team. Our year-to-date supplemental staffing cost, which is a combination of overtime and part-time, is at $62,000. In fiscal year 14, we were at $91,000, so we're down about 32%. And on a side note, we do have one employee who is off on extended leave due to a non-work-related issue. The Division of Fire does have a CPR course scheduled for Monday, August 17th. I have some bad news. Actually, it's great news. The class is full, so I can't put anybody else in the class right now, but we have a full class for Monday, so that's exciting news. Don't fret, if you didn't make it into this class, we will have one in October. We have them every other month. And we do these bi-monthly in cooperation with University Hospital Richmond. Best part about it is free to citizens in Richmond Heights. However, class size is limited to 12, and we are full. That concludes my report for this evening, and I'll take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Chief. We'll move to the next chief, Police Chief Rowe.
Thank you, Madam President, Mayor, members of City Council, and residents of the community. Our police activity thus far in 2015, our Part 1 crimes remain pretty close to what they were last year. The most significant decrease has been a 70% decrease in the number of burglaries. Other activity, our calls for service are up by 5%. Arrests are up 18%. Our CAD entries, which is the most accurate measure of all of our police activities, is at 18,637. Our traffic and parking enforcement is up by 27.2% from the same period of time last year, and our fines from Lyndhurst Court are up 24%, or about $12,351. Calls at the mall accounts for 5.4% of our calls for service, 17% of our arrests. The three major apartment complexes account for 18.8% of our calls for service. And that's all.
Thank you. I wonder how many arrests do you get from those apartments as well?
I don't have those down specifically, but again, those are, you have to remember, those are all calls. So that's squad runs, lockouts, anything of that nature.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the report. Building Commissioner Phil Seabold.
Thank you, Madam President, and Mayor, members of council, and citizens. I wanted to give you a short report on some of the focuses of the building department over the last 6 months or so. I've reported on a couple of occasions that one of our chief focuses this year was the fire safety of our major apartment complexes. And the one in particular that we've been focusing more than on the others has been Richmond Park Apartments. About 4 months ago, we did an inspection, a very detailed inspection of the common areas of that complex, and largely because of change of manpower, change of ownership, various conditions that they've had to deal with over there. The features of many of the buildings were run down, out of date. The results of our inspection was about 30 pages of violations contained in the 4 buildings housing more than 700 apartments. Since that date, the apartment ownership and management, ownership which is from Atlanta and the management which is out of Detroit, have been dealing with that list of violations. We thought they were starting to run out of gas about a month ago. They had lost their impetus a little bit, so with the help of the law director, we gave them some new ultimatums. We ordered them to install a fire watch 24 hours a day in each of the 4 buildings until the fire safety features of the buildings were restored, which they did. I wanted to report that as of this afternoon, we inspected the 4th of the 4 buildings. They've replaced virtually every door hardware set in the complex, some 400 door hardware sets at the cost of nearly $100 each. They've replaced more than 100 fire doors and frames. They've replaced virtually every exit and emergency light in the complex. The buildings, as of this afternoon, we released the fire watch on the fourth of the 4 buildings. They still have a short list of things to finish up. There's still some electrical violations in the buildings. We still have some problems with a couple of the firewalls in the buildings that have not been completely repaired. They've committed to have that done by the end of August. But as of today, they've invested in the last 4 months about $250,000 to upgrade the fire safety features of the buildings. And I wanted to report that they've done a nice job. They've cooperated to a large extent. All of the elevators work normally. The corridors look like a place where you would want to live again. The roofs on all 4 of the buildings have been replaced. They've started fixing the plumbing with actual plumbing parts and not chewing gum anymore. The level of the maintenance of the buildings has been vastly improved. I think by the end of August, we're going to have a very, very nice apartment complex that we can be proud of again. And they are now at about 95% occupancy. So the owner told me today that that's a good sign and a bad sign, because it's good because people like to live there, but when they get that high, they feel that they're not charging enough rent. So we're making good progress over there, and I wanted to report that.
Yes, yes.
The letters that you sent to Richmond Park, you have 3 copies for the apartments down in Ward 1?
Dorchester is actually in very good condition. We went through the same process with them as we went through with Richmond Park, and they weren't anywhere near as bad. And Loganberry, we're about halfway through the process with Loganberry, and they are also being very cooperative. But again, the level of problem at both of those complexes was much lower than the level of problem at Richmond Park. And we still have, at Loganberry, the major problem is still old elevators that it's very difficult to find parts for and to keep them running. And whereas at Richmond Park, the main complaint this year seemed to be air conditioning that was leaking or not running properly. At Loganberry, it's that people have to walk up and down the stairs to the 4th floor. So we're still pushing them to try and upgrade their elevators a little bit. But again, upgrading the hydraulics in one elevator is about $100,000. So I don't expect us to make major killings in that route in a short time. Hopefully we can get them to install maybe 1 new elevator a year for the next few years, and in such a way, show some progress over a course of a few years.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to thank the building department and our law department for putting that pressure on the Richmond Park Apartments. As many of you know, I have my own business there, and I could attest to the conditions of the property, what it was and what it is now. It's greatly improved. It's a great place to look at, and I think they're proud of it, even though they had to get their arms twisted a little bit to actually do it. But I want to thank the law department for working with the building department to get that pressure on them. Why I have the floor with our building department, I know everybody's waiting for my report on the Richmond Heights Post Office parking lot. I know that's a very important subject here, and doggone it, I have good news and I have bad news, as the saying goes. The good news is that I got a call from Ms. Franklin, who is the manager of the post office in Richmond Heights. She has assured me that the project of repaving, resurfacing and repaving of the parking lot was supposed to start, talking about being a politician. First she said August 10th, which was Monday. Then talking to her again, it's the week of August 10th. So we have until Friday before we can get really upset about it not being paved. But I'm there every day along with a new friend of mine, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams is a resident of Richmond Heights. He lives on Bradford in the Bluffs. And he brought it to my attention, and this is something else that I think, Phil, I think we need to work on. I don't know how many people know it, but when you go into the Richmond Heights post office, on the counters where you do your paperwork and write out a letter or stick a stamp on an envelope, underneath those counters are built-in receptacles for rubbish, for waste. Those are all duct taped, closed. They do not want you to use that. There used to be a bin outside the post office by the front door, so when you walk out and you have your can of pop or you have that piece of junk mail that you don't want anymore, you were able to throw it in. That is not there anymore. That is now on the ground for somebody to pick up. The answer or the question that was brought to me, or the reason why it's this way, they tell me that the post office is going green, and I'm not so sure I know what that means. I thought I did, but they tell me it's to be environmentally friendly, thank you. For that reason, they don't want any rubbish. Well, the rubbish now goes on the ground. So I think we're not asking too much to get possibly a waste can inside the post office by the lobby, and maybe one right outside the front door. That's my second project for the post office. But I thank Mr. Williams for bringing this to my attention. As I have the floor, and I'll just take 2 more seconds if I can, I want to welcome our State Senator Ken Yuko. I know that's federal, you guys are state, but you've been helpful in the past when I talked to Congresswoman Fudge, thank you, with this problem, and we seem to get somewhere. I don't know if it was because of our letter writing or it's just timing.
It's you, Frank.
I think it is. I think it is me. One thing why I have Ken Yuko here, our good friend who is also a resident of Richmond Heights. Tonight we had a meeting, and I'm not going to try to put you on the spot, Ken, by any means, but we had a meeting earlier before you came here about a group home that is moving in or trying to move into our community. I would like to meet with you and discuss some of the things that the state passes on to us about fair housing and issues like that. I know it's a big topic, and I don't need any comment. If you'd like to, you mostly can, but I would really like to talk to you because I think it's more than just a council meeting for us council people to hear. I think that we need to let our state reps and people know exactly what is happening to our communities by some of the laws and decisions that Columbus and elsewhere makes for us.
Yes, I agree, but
But
9:10. So hold
I'm
on.
done.
You're in the middle of my agenda here.
I'm done.
We're on a roll.
Go for it.
So we'll get back to you. Thank you. All right.
But
You will never get the floor again.
But Friday, post office, new parking lot.
Look at him.
That's what Mark said.
All right.
2 months ago.
So I think I even lost who was talking last after all that. But I'm going to guess
That's
it was
important
Mr. Seabolt. So are you done, Mr. Seabolt?
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you. You have to remember, he is dangerous with the floor. That's why he's able, you're in charge of that post office
You
thing.
haven't seen anything yet.
All right. All right. So we're going to go into finances. Finance Director, Mitch McKaylee.
Thank you, Madam President,
Thank you.
Mayor, members of council, and residents. I'm going to help you out here, Madam President. I'm going to keep this really short. I'm just going to update you on certain things that I talked to last meeting, just sort of let you know where we are now. As I told you at the last meeting, we had identified a candidate, and we have brought her on board. Camille Dorjank is the accounts receivable, accounts payable person. We interviewed a number of candidates, and they were strong candidates, and she was available and very, very highly recommended. She had gone, as you know, she was here for a period of time, and she went somewhere else, and we stole her back, so it worked out well. Also, the gap conversion has been completed. The deadline for that, as you know, was the end of July. That was done timely and filed with the Auditor of State on the 31st. And the Auditor of State did, as I had mentioned, arrive on Monday the 2nd. They have started with some of their testing of the financial transactions, and so far so good. I'll keep you posted on how that goes as we go along, and that's my report for this evening.
Thank you. When does,
Does
I'm sorry.
Does that mean that you're fully staffed?
We're still one short. Actually, we have to fill the payroll position. We have had preliminary interviews with, I believe, 2 candidates at this point, and other candidates are being identified, and we're about to start on the second round of interviews. There were some preliminary screening interviews before I got involved. I've not met the candidates yet. I anticipate sometime within the next week or so, those interviews will be scheduled, and that process is moving forward.
Okay. Does that complete your report? Thank you.
Yes, and actually, I'm thankful you reminded me of that, Mr. Alexander, because I had a note here. So, thank you.
Pardon? Pardon?
There was one item that there was a number of people I know sent emails about, was the salt request for getting involved with the settlement on the salt. And we are on that list. So Mitch put in that report, and we're on the list for whatever settlement's coming.
Oh, good.
I
Great.
know there was some interest in that, so we are.
They actually extended that deadline too, so the people who didn't get in are getting a little more time to get in, but we got in under the first wire.
Great. Thank you. We'll move to the Service Director, Donald Korniski.
Thank you, Madam President, Mayor, Council, and residents. The clearing website that we're using for auctioning off our used vehicles, Gov Deals, representative came today and spent 3 hours with us, training us on how to get the best value out of our vehicles and put them on the website, and it's very appealing to everybody. And we're going to start doing that tomorrow.
What will you do tomorrow? Make them appear appealing, or are you going to post them? Thank you. As of tomorrow. Thank you very much. Any more to report? Thank you. Appreciate your efforts. Yes?
Can we have a clarification? How long does that stay on Gov Deals before the actual deal happens?
2 weeks is the norm for the auction to go on, and if nothing happens after 2 weeks, we have the option of lowering the bid price that we're looking for, or we can just take it off.
And I think initially we're doing 4 police cars, that's correct. Okay. Just this little detail for those who are interested.
Thank you very much. All right. Then we will move to City Engineer Lee Courtney.
2 items, Madam President. The contracts for this year's road work are being executed right now, so hopefully we'll have some activity before too long. And the Sharrow's westbound curb lane has been installed on Highland Road for anybody who drives Highland in regard to this, and that's a good thing.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move to the Recreation Director, Jessica Gift.
Good evening, Madam President, Mayor, members of council, and residents of the community. We're glad to report that we will have 5 new programs to offer to the resident of Richmond Heights starting in the fall. These include Cars 101, Money Management, Lemonade for Life, a motivational support group, Youth Martial Arts, a 4-week youth tennis clinic, and we are also continuing to offer the lunch bunch in this month. It's actually the first month that we started
Yes, can you explain what the lunch bunch is again?
Yes, the lunch bunch is a social lunch outing on the third Thursday of each month. Residents are responsible for the cost of the lunch and their own transportation. We have 6 residents currently enrolled in lunch bunch, so we will pick, the recreation department will handle all the scheduling and reservations for the actual lunch that's taking place. And we'll send you out to different restaurants around the area. So, this past one was, the firehouse. And we do Cheesecake Factory, we're sending them to Hola, a lot of different places in the area that maybe you wouldn't otherwise experience as a resident. And it's in a social atmosphere, you can meet other residents and just kind of have a nice afternoon out.
So what is the usual starting time? Is it like 1 o'clock? Okay. Thank you. Very interesting. And that's a something new you brought to Richmond Heights. Thank you. Yes?
Would it help if is there people that need transportation?
No one has reached out and requested any, but it is possible.
I mean, we do have
The vehicle.
access to the bus, correct? I mean, it'd be very easy for us to pay for one round trip to pick everybody up and take them to lunch. I mean,
They all meet here and then they go.
that's what I'm saying.
That would be
something we could go
nice.
through that, Dave? I mean, we're paying for that.
Senior
anyway.
transportation?
No, we pay per person,
Yeah,
per trip.
it's an idea.
It's an idea. We could
Might
follow
want
up a little bit
Follow.
to see if there's any
I just hate that
major interest.
somebody elderly that doesn't have a ride
Who might want to do it, yeah.
would want to do it, and if there's a group of 3 or 4 of them, I would think that'd be pretty easy for us to accommodate.
We should do
We do
it
have 6
for the
persons
seniors.
this time enrolled, so I can absolutely look into some transportation options, and present the council some of our goals.
Right. That sounds good. Sounds interesting. All right. Thank you. Crystal Best is out, so we'll go to the audience. Any comments? Any of you guys who are joining the lunch bunch?
Just a quick one, George and Carl, in 1936. The two school starts, are the crosswalks across Richmond, to the fire station, and the East Track. So it's very, very faint, and the crosswalk is I don't know, was it? I didn't quite hear. Did you?
Ross was across there.
No, across Richmond, towards, where there's a, where the, what's that gas station? Yeah. Before it starts. Been a long night.
Okay, so the question and the answer, I didn't quite get either one of those. What was your question? Is a crosswalk going to be fixed? Is that what you?
Restriped.
Striped?
These stripes are pretty faint.
Oh, restriped. And you said? Yes. All right, so that's good. Thank you. Then next question.
Well, I have more of a comment than a question. I just would like to thank my councilman, Franklin Dean, for his update today. It's always good to see one of the councilmen out there doing good work, which you all do.
Thank you.
And you really do a good job. Things certainly have come around quite well. I do want to say, though, that my particular councilman, if I wasn't living in Ward, I would move there. He's done such an excellent job since he's taken this position. And Mr. Councilman, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Especially your hard work on that part.
Thank you very much, and it was just the way I wrote it. Just the way I wrote it.
See, we knew he would be good for that job, really.
Appreciate that very much.
Yes. Mr. Yuko, would you like to address us and tell us all the monies you're going to bring to Richmond Heights?
Actually, we're going to take money from Richmond Heights, so that villages and townships could have the opportunity to,
Reedy, if you'd like, we can get you a mic, because this is, you're not going to be picked up very well on the audio.
Kenny Yuko.
Kenny, if you want to come up to the podium, we'll hand you a mic, hopefully.
I forget his name. What's his name? Forget his name. What's his name? Jerry Hoover. Jerry Hoover.
You're all set? Okay, good evening, everybody. Yes, things have not progressed as well as we had expected in the fine city of Columbus, as you're well aware. We had hoped and prayed that perhaps some of our local government funding might be restored. I think what you saw was a strong reluctance by colleagues of mine, in not only the Ohio Senate, but the Ohio House, to cooperate with our cities. The mayor, or the governor, had the opportunity to appear on national television last week, and he made a presentation. His presentation was very impressive. It left everyone the impression that the state of Ohio is doing absolutely wonderful. Our communities are flourishing. Our schools are in fantastic shape. We don't have a problem with jobs because we have a great workforce and many people that are working on new great jobs. Unfortunately, the Ohio he was talking about wasn't the Ohio I live in. It had nothing to do with this Senate District 25. We still have our communities that are struggling. They took a 50% cut in local government funding. We eliminated the inheritance tax. We made changes to commercial activities tax that hurt our communities, lower property values. Richmond Heights isn't so bad, but we have a lot of communities in my Senate district that are having a hard time collecting tax dollars from vacant homes because we have way too many. So these are things we need to work on. In response to the one question from council about group homes, I will be in Columbus tomorrow, and I am meeting with some parents, elderly parents who have a concern about the direction the state's going in regard to they're not quite sure how long they'll be around to take care of their adult children and whether or not they qualify and whether or not we're going to find enough communities that are willing to accept group homes that deal with people with some form of disabilities. It's a sad state of affairs. I've been working with a lot of different groups that focus on Rett syndrome for little children, but eventually these little children grow up to be young adults, and their disease doesn't go away. It stays with them. They require assistance. They cannot go to the bathroom themselves. A lot of them can't speak for themselves. A lot of them can't respond to a parent. So if you ask them a question, they don't respond. There's a lot of situations that a lot of our families are dealing with. And they're concerned about what the future is going to bring them. Because our states, we're closing our eyes on a lot of people who need tremendous assistance. Parents have stepped up to the plate as admirably as you can ask for. But sometimes it's going to come to a point in their lives where they can no longer be there for their own children. And it's very concerning for them. And so we're going to reach out. We're going to start meeting with some parents starting tomorrow in Columbus. We're going to see what we can do. We will continue to fight and argue and do whatever we can. We've always dealt with my 8 years in the Ohio House with the capital budget, where we had the opportunity to bring money back to our communities. We haven't heard a single word about the capital budget so far, and that's concerning for me because it's our opportunity to bring money, valuable money, back to our communities, and our communities need it. Sitting with $2 billion in the rainy day fund might make a great soundbite when you're running for president, but it doesn't resonate well when state senators and state representatives have to come back to our friends, to our mayors and members of council and tell them, yes, we're aware that you need help. We're aware that we have the money now to provide that help, because basically, where did that money come from? It came from the dollars that should have come out to our communities. Now, the fact that we have $2 billion in a rainy day fund, I think certainly affords us the opportunity where we can start sharing it. And I'm not saying give everyone across the board, because I've got 28 cities in my Senate district, and not all 28 cities need help. But I do have a number of cities who need a lot of help. I have some cities who could use and appreciate a little bit of help. And I don't think there's any city in my district that would refuse any help. But with that being said, these are things that we have to work on in Columbus. It's not a good atmosphere to work with. You've seen, you've heard what goes on. It's constant battles down there from every angle that we can imagine. It's sometimes very difficult, sometimes very frustrating, but we're going to deal with it because we have to. I'm going to pledge to you tonight that I will continue to work with reckless abandon on building bridges instead of tearing them down. We're going to continue to reach out to friends on the other side of the aisle, because I have to believe that just the Democratic senators don't have cities that are hurting and would appreciate some help. I have to believe that same concern is evident in the Republican districts as well. And, you know, for the sake of party lines, we should stop this craze that we've got going of trying to ignore the problem and hope that it'll go away. It's not going to go away, folks, and we have to do better. You know, we've had some issues that we've worked extremely well on. For example, our ability to take what's going on with race relations, police relations. I think the police have done just an absolutely outstanding job of accepting criticism, of accepting new direction. I haven't heard a single police chief or police officer or those in authority say we're not going to do this, that this is not what we want to see. They're saying, yes, if this is what it takes, this is what we'll do. We're asking the community sometimes to step up to the plate and be responsible. You know, a lot of what we are complaining about could have been avoided if certain people acted in a different way. And now it comes to a time, and you're seeing it not only in our own state, but other states as well, when there's certain situations that are rising that could really turn ugly real quick. But I think stronger minds will prevail. I think we have some strong leadership throughout our country. I know we have strong leadership in Ohio. I know we have strong cooperation among our churches, our community leaders, our state leaders, and our federal leaders. And I think what we can do, we will do, we must do, is work together, make our communities the best it can be. This is where we decide to call home. No one forced my arm, no one twisted my arm behind my back and said, you have to live in Richmond Heights. Pam and I said, we want to build a home in Richmond Heights. We want to live here. We want to call this home. We did it, we've done it, we're not going anywhere. We're proud of Richmond Heights. We'd like to be even prouder because we'd like to see a lot of the funding restored a little bit at a time and make sure that our city leaders have the necessary funds to fix the infrastructures that need repair, to take care of the vacant homes, because one vacant home on a street can ruin a whole street. We don't want that to happen either. So there's a lot of things that must happen. I think it will happen. It's going to be slow. I'm not going to lie to you. These fixes aren't going to come overnight, but I think they are eventually going to come. I think stronger heads will prevail and will make things happen. Thank you for all of your leadership. Thank you for your insistence on being here on a night like tonight, because this is so important that we get voices like yours, because you're going to go out and talk to your neighbors and friends and people you go to church with and say, hey, listen, this is a good community. When we have strong leadership, we elected the right people to lead us. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of what they do. I'm proud of their dedication. You know, they could be home watching the Cleveland Indians. I'm not sure who's playing tonight because I never know their names when I watch them anymore. But if there were players that we would know, we could be home watching those guys where we are. But instead, we're here trying to make the city better, make your lives better. And for that, I say thank you. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Senator Yukel. Okay. We will move, any more audience comments? All right. We will move on to the old business, and we have none, right?
No old business.
Okay, so we will move to new business.
Resolution 72, 2015, introduced by Mayor Roach, first reading. A resolution amending Resolution Number 61, 2015, with respect to the contract with a vendor for grass cutting and outdoor maintenance of private properties in city.
Oh, any comments? Mayor? Oh, well, we let him say another blurb if you like.
Yeah, I would recommend this be passed.
Second.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis? Morgan? O'Toole?
Yes. Move for passage.
Second the motion.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis? Morgan? O'Toole?
Yes.
Resolution 72, 2015 passes unanimously.
Resolution number 73, 2015, introduced by Lentine, first reading. A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a purchase agreement for
2 in-car camera systems for the Division of Police.
Mr. Lentine, any comments?
Madam Chairman, this resolution gives the mayor the ability to go out and purchase 2 in-car cameras for us for our new police vehicles. It has gone through the Safety Committee of Council, and it's our recommendation for passage. With that, I'd like to make a motion to move for passage. Suspend, excuse me.
Second.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
O'Toole?
Yes.
Move for passage.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
O'Toole?
Yes.
Oh, yes, Resolution 73, 2015 passes unanimously.
Ordinance number 74, 2015, introduced by Mayor Roach, first reading. An ordinance to amend sections 505.17 and 505.20 of the codified ordinances of the City of Richmond Heights, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Mayor, do you have comments?
I believe we discussed this in the meeting of the whole and agreed to put this into committee on first reading, or have first reading and put it into committee for any discussion. This is our vicious dog ordinance that's being rewritten to meet the Ohio State Revised Code.
Yes, we did agree to leave it on the first reading.
Ordinance 75, 2015, introduced by O'Toole, first reading. An ordinance amending ordinance number 79, 2013, to add the positions of Human Relations Manager and Administrative Intern in the administrative offices of the city and declaring an emergency.
Mr. O'Toole, do you have comments?
Yes, Madam President, I do. This places in our pay ordinance the positions of Human Relations Manager, who someone has been performing as a volunteer, and it also codifies our administrative intern, who's been doing a great job providing assistance for our economic development coordinator and also assistance to the mayor's office. So I will move for suspension.
Second.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
O'Toole?
Yes.
Move for passage.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis? Morgan?
Yes.
O'Toole?
Yes.
Ordinance 75, 2015 passes unanimously. Any additions? If not, we have correspondence. Will you please read the correspondence? Thank you.
This is from June 23rd. Dear Mayor Roach and City Council members, thank you so much for honoring me with a proclamation on the occasion of my 95th birthday that added to the joy of my large family gathering. Sincerely, Mary Elizabeth Ellis.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. Again, one more pass. Any comments, additions? No more correspondence? All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for being here tonight.